All right, I'm gonna start. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate this. The reason why I'm doing this is basically a lot of people are, locked down at home, and I'm sure that perhaps we can learn something from it. And today, we actually did I did a streaming maybe like 3 days ago, and I ended up creating some sort of terrain. If someone didn't see it happening, I can show the process of it. I mean the progress of what it was there. But I'm gonna start from scratch, something different, more close to the image that I posted on Facebook. But I want to show you guys what exactly I was intending to do over there, and I'm not gonna continue that one because I find that the process itself, whatever we created at start, can definitely be much different for every single aspect. So in Houdini, at least from my knowledge, we are able to create so many different things in different ways. So I'm trying to show how the procedurality mentality or even the mindset of whatever we're doing changes erratically, like every day. So let me show the 1 second. Are you guys able to just hear me fine or no? Is there any issues? Let me share the screen. Let me know if you guys can see what's going on. So yeah, basically the idea here was the graph is pretty big here, but it kind of gives the sense of how we were creating this terrain. If you watched it, you notice how the step by step was. There was no voice. It was basically a lot of experimentation, and there's plenty of noise in the nodes. I know I wasn't organized entirely, but it gives the sense of how I pretty much experiment. Like I like to go nuts, and then later on find out what do I need to organize through the nodes and what happens in a production pipeline. So if we go back here and whatever we had before, so like we can see that I extruded like a bunch of shapes and forms. I transformed those forms. I created a bunch of attributes which create the measurement of the area of each of those pieces. So basically, I kept moving in different routes of my approach for this, and that's normal. The one thing that I find beautiful about Houdini is that it's not a linear mentality. You have to actually put yourself and experiment with nodes, every node in Houdini, in order for you to see the possibility. So so you see, I started from like a grid itself, right? And this grid brought a bunch of different shapes and forms, and I kept going and going until I decided to like extrude shapes in random ways. And at the end of the whole thing, we got something like this. Of course, it's not amazingly or beautiful, but you get the point across where you are so able to like experiment in so many forms or methods and get results that are sometimes luck, to be honest with you. Anyway, so I'm gonna start a new file over here, and we're gonna be able to get whatever the image on Facebook was actually going forward. Let me so I'm gonna change the interface to games because I actually find this a little bit more relieving for you guys. You probably see the graph a little bit better. All right, so I'm gonna put a geo node right here, not here, sorry, not output, just object. I'm gonna put a geometry node, and the geo node, I'm gonna call it, I don't know, stylized terrain. And I usually like to use the grid over here, so I'm gonna try to see if I can put that in, or grid points or grid lines. There you go. And then I'm gonna bring like 2 curves. I'm gonna bring one for now, just so we can play around with this idea. And again, I'm gonna simply experiment. I don't know necessarily exactly what I'm gonna be doing, so please, if I am doing something that, I did not set up the interface correctly. Give me 1 second. Bring another tab over here, bring the network view, perfect. Right. So now that we have the grid, Unfortunately, I don't know why, and if someone actually knows. Oh, you don't see my contextual menu? Oh, good to know, man. Thank you. Perhaps I will just capture then the screen, the monitor. Give me one sec. I'm using OBS. Let me see. Good to know. Thank you. Display capture. Yeah, perhaps that will work. And then scale that down. I have two captures on top of each other. Makes no sense. I want to hide them in the bottom. Okay. Is this better? No? Please let me know. I'm going to wait a little bit. And let's see if the menu comes. Yeah, I guess if that comes now. So this curve right here, we have to have the grid on in order to put the points in there. So I press enter on the keyboard and just start putting points. If I don't have it, I don't know why. If you know, please let me know. So let's just say I don't have the points here. I'm gonna delete this node again and put a curve. And basically the points are gonna go in space or whatever the viewport is doing. That's good and all, but I don't necessarily like it. I wish that it would go directly on the floor without having to see the grid itself. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna start bringing these points out. I have to make sure that this has no points there or no coordinates, or just create a different node. So we create like sort of a road kind of way. I don't know. All right. So now that we have this curve, right, I want to try to bring some thickness to it, or even functionality of whatever the shape of this road is going to be. So I'm going to create a line over here. And in this line, as you can see, I have 2 points. And these points are not necessarily in the center space of whatever it's happening right now. So I'm gonna go basic, guys. By the way, if you know all of this, be patient, because a lot of people don't. So I'm trying to really teach whoever really doesn't know as well, and perhaps you can learn something from it. All right, so get the length of it. So over here on the tab, press right mouse button. On the copy parameter of the length, I'm gonna post this on the origin, okay, of the y, because the direction is 1. So if I actually bring this direction to be on the x, for example, or z, to zero out, let me put 0. Why am I not being able to type? Right. You can see that now it goes over there, so I have to bring the length over here. So I'm just gonna put in paste relative references, right? What that does, it basically puts the value of whatever we had here. So if I actually bring this up, you're gonna see how it scales the line, but it's also scaling whatever the origin is doing. But what we need to do here is, I'm gonna press on the origin again, and I'm gonna do minus, okay? And I need to divide that value by 2. This gets you the 2 points in the middle. A lot of people have seen this online, I'm sure, in plenty of tutorials, but I need to show. And then I'm gonna use something called skin. And the skin node, what it does is I am able to, copy 2 points first. So I'm gonna, perfect. And I want the reference, right? And the geometry that I'm gonna copy to. And you can see now that this curve right here, which we had before, I'm gonna take the grid off so you guys can see. I'm gonna bring the wireframe to be a little bit more thickened so it's easier to see. So now all the points, every point is copying that line, which is cool. Okay, perfect. But what do we want is the direction of whatever each normal of that curve is gonna have. So I'm gonna bring a frame, polyframe, and this polyframe is actually gonna bring the normals of whatever we were creating before. So I'm just gonna, you can see now that the normals are on, and every single point is actually following through that path. But I actually want the normal. I don't know necessarily why side effects did this, but this is a common variable inside Houdini, which is up, means the world normal of up, and I'm gonna put the tangent to be normal. And you can see now that the lines are turning around. But we ended up choosing 1, which is fine. We can always go and create a transform node over here. And rotate the y-axis to be 90. And as you can see, now we have all of them going that route. And if I bring this node to the skin, we get this. Cool. Basic stuff, I know. But now we're going to go a little bit more complex about how to actually create some sort of variability surrounding those lines, right? And how do we do that? So instead of actually using the shape form, I'm gonna do this as rows, okay? And you guys will understand later on why. Actually, sorry, not rows, columns. Yeah. And if you see this length right here, I'm able to just bring it out and back, which is nice. And I'm able to still have the skin later on if I wanted to have the quadrat, like the shape itself, the solid shape. And so I'm gonna come back to columns, and now I want to make sure that I have a resample. So I'm gonna bring this curve right here because we're gonna have to put a lot of those right there. I'm gonna bring that here. And I'm going to create a resample on this guy for now, just so we can have some more resolution surrounding it. That's a lot. We don't necessarily need that much. And if we see that the curve itself, the whole part of the curve right here, the amount of length that you have for each point, so if you put 1, right, it's going to get you the amount of points for each of those curves, but through the length of each one of them, which is all cool and all, but we don't necessarily want to, for example, if I change this curve right here, I'm going to show you guys, the points amount always is fixable, which is nice. That's what we want, right? But if you don't necessarily know how the resample works, or even changes the length of it, the scale of the world of the game that you're doing, you need to understand what is that scale. There is plenty of variables that you can put over there that will cause, for example, Unreal or Unity to actually find out the grid size they're using. I found out I think there was a one measurement over here. I forgot the name of it. Let me see. Yeah, so there's unit length, right? And the unit length will be pretty much 1, right? Because the unit length of what you're creating in Houdini is 1. So basically that's the idea of it. And this unit length, I think that Unreal reads or Unity reads. So I usually like to put that variable there in order to help us out. All right. So now that we have the skin, we're going to make sure that we have, actually I'm going to put divided by 2 because I think it's too many. No, sorry, times 2. All right. Now that we have those points, we need to make sure that we have variability of scale or whatever we want to do with this road and vary their sizes. So I'm going to put quadrilaterals for now, just so we can see things around. I'm going to turn off this all views, I don't need it. And I'm going to turn off the template right here. Sorry. And please, if you guys have questions or anything, let me know. All right, and then I want to create for each loop right here. There's 2 ways I can do here. I'm going to show both so we can, actually there's other ways, but the easiest ways I'm going to show right here how to manage this points. So I don't want the connectivity to be primitive. So I'm going to put as point, and I'm going to do this as rows, I guess. And call it out rows, and bring this for each loop to be rows. And I'm going to bring that line right there. Oh, sorry, not here. Right here. And I want to make sure this copy to points is actually bringing that guy here. Yeah, it's going to cause a problem, which is fine. We can fix it later. And this guy right here. All right, what is complaining about? Let's see. Yeah, for each piece or point, and we need to make sure that this is points as well. And this is by count. Or, whoop, I'm messing up here. 1 second. How to do? What's causing it? Like so. No. Yeah, by input. Sorry. And then this. I know you fixed it. right, so okay, basically the idea is as soon as I copy those, I'm doing feedback for each iteration, but I do need to be pieces by points, and it should be that way. I don't know why it's happening. Forgive me. But I'm doing something dumb here right now. Forgive me. Oh, yeah. This needs to be here, and this needs to be here. And then, there you go. No, that's not it. So I'm gonna do the other way. Sorry, I don't remember necessarily the sequence over here, but I'm gonna do the by attribute noise. Okay, so I'm gonna create attribute noise. Actually, it's easier anyway. So whenever we have this resample, right, we have all those points in the middle, and I'm gonna create an attribute by noise, which means that each point of those guys are gonna have a different color, and which is nice. I'm gonna put the background to be black, so it's easier to see, and I'm gonna make sure that the gamma is 1 for now. I usually have a hard time doing the gamma 2.2 because the colors don't show so nice. So now that we have that, I want to make sure that this is 1D because I want those to be grayscale. And you can do center noise, for example, so you're going to be able to see the blacks and darks. And now that you have it, you might actually want to scale the gamma again. And this guy is going to be the colors themselves, but we actually want the attribute to be called p-scale. What does this do is basically puts an attribute for each point of the curve itself. And this p-scale, whenever I copy 2 points, which I'm gonna use it right here, I deleted it before, I'm able to simply have different scale surrounding those guys, right? So now we know that every single line has a different scale, and we can increase the amplitude of that. And as soon as we bring this to the skin, we will have some sort of mask like that. Yeah, I understand, because it's frustrating because honestly what's happening here is the frame itself, even if you're putting the point up, it's annoying that actually the normals are not going that route. So we have to create some sort of something different right here. So we're gonna put a point. You can actually do it this easier by managing this to be, let's see if it does work. Yeah, there you go. Because usually the curve itself, the normals, whenever we look at it, let me show you guys. Oh, why is not showing the normals now? Ugh, I'm having so many problems. Okay, so the curve itself, if we actually see how the up value is going through, he doesn't know necessarily the bitangent part of it, so it causes issues because of it. So I prefer sometimes just using the bitangent. Sorry, not the tangent. I prefer using the bitangent because it actually locks down the normal. Sometimes there's specific reasons why it doesn't happen. It's hard to explain necessarily why, but I'm not gonna go deep on that right now. And then we need to actually not rotate this guy. So we're gonna bring this to 0 again. And there you go. Let's see if the normals work now. No, fuck. Sorry for swearing. I forgot necessarily what exactly I needed to do here. Let me put that point, because honestly, I don't know why, but it gets frustrating whenever I'm using a version of Houdini that doesn't necessarily is the latest as well. I'm always having issues with the bevels. I don't know if that's the case. Let's see if this works now. Nope. It's supposed to work. Did that many times before. Yeah. See, like the orthogonal, okay. Maybe it's the resample itself. Oh yeah, that's probably what it was. So, okay, since it was actually creating points on the resample and was not transforming to be a polygon curve, I don't know necessarily why that happens, but yeah, because you can use the resample to actually have to be a NURBS curve, and that causes problems with the normals. I guess that's the issue. Let's see. Let me rotate it again. Yeah, perfect. Okay, now that we have that, I'm able to go to the attribute noise p-scale and create a minimum and a maximum. So now we are able to actually kind of clamp the minimum parts of the curve. So you can see now that I have the noise itself, and we can actually increase the element size. It's going to create different shapes and forms right there. And I want to make sure that I have like not so much noise, but I want to increase the size length of this to be perhaps 15. And there you go. Now we're going the right path. So since the resample itself, I usually create 2 resamples because whenever you're creating this sort of node, I create one that is interpolated or even straight edges. Okay, I'm going to use the interpolator for now because if you see that I'm editing this curve right here, it can cause some issues. See, like if I cross this whole thing, it's gonna kind of bring the normals to be a little bit annoying. There's plenty of ways to change that, but I'm gonna try to go the easier route. So I'm gonna do interpolating curves first, and then bring another one, and increase this amount to be perhaps 10. No, sorry, not 10. I'm gonna put just the unit length itself, or divide by 2. There you go. So now we have more points to play with. Let me read whatever gets holy shit here. You're doing live streams now. Being a fan. Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate that. That's very sweet of you to say. Thank you. Yeah, I'm basically doing this, guys, because honestly, it also gives me something to do while I'm at home, right? That we are all here, and also because I know a lot of people are bored at home or don't have much, going on. So it just gives all of us some help here and there, right? All right, so now that this curve has the resample, I will actually use the subdivision curves, but I'm not gonna use, I'm gonna use the straight edges, and don't use the resample by polygon because it's the interpolating one. And as soon as I go to skin again, you'll see we'll have many more points surrounding those parts. Now, this P scale, the attribute noise right here, I'm gonna put actually noise here and put a color to this node because we are gonna edit that guy a lot. And so every single node that I know that I'm gonna bring some information to it, I like to actually put some color on those nodes or even shapes. You can press the, I think the Z to actually change the shape of the node. So you can choose that interface right there. All right, so this noise, I have this amplitude, which I know I'm gonna be using a lot. So I know that this is a kind of like a variable that I want to play around with. And you don't necessarily need to use the center noise. I like, you can change between whatever you want right there. So if you look, for example, if you do not want to clamp those values, you perhaps can just play around with that. And I know this guy is going to be useful. So I'm going to create something called null right here. Okay. And I'm going to just say attributes. And I'm basically going to create an array of attributes, or even like plenty of attributes that I'm going to use through this whole thing and bring this into this interface. Okay, so I'm gonna actually put a node that is a little bit more colorful. I'm gonna put like purple, I guess. And in this interface, I'm gonna edit. I'm gonna delete those guys because I don't need it, or actually even make them invisible. And I think they already are. Perfect. So now that I have this guy, okay. Oh, are you guys able to see him? Because I think he cut that. Okay. If I have this guy open, okay, I'm able to bring those variables right here and drag and drop. So in this noise value, I'm going to just bring it there. And what does it say? Notice, okay. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Yeah, I know why. So instead of doing that, we're gonna have to create a little bit different here. So let me think. I'm gonna have to do that. Okay. Press Alt B on your keyboard. Okay, or Alt. Sorry. I think it's. Yeah, there you go. Alt and the symbols of enter and exit brackets, and that will actually cause them to create a different UI windows. So then I'm gonna bring this to be parameters as well, and I'm gonna unlock it for now. And as soon as I have this gentleman selected, I'm able to lock this. So I'm gonna lock that guy over here. And now this also will be parameters. So I'm gonna bring parameters on that guy and unlock it. And as soon as I do this, the noise itself will be here. And then now if I want to create an interface right here, I'm gonna have to actually rely on pointing out some floats here and there. There's other ways, but I prefer doing this way because it's a little more organized. So I know this is gonna be like noise amplitude, so I'm gonna name that guy. And I will totally encourage to name your the label is great because you basically are giving the name of whatever the parameter. But if you don't necessarily name the parameter, it can cause issues later on where you sorry, even like do something simple, doesn't matter, because that can cause issues if you have like same names, and it will cause conflict for each of those ones. So now I know that I have noise amplitude, and I want to make sure that I have the noise scale pretty much. So I'm gonna duplicate this guy. I call it noise scale. Right. Just for now, those two are fine. And now I know that I'm able to just copy this parameter, right? And then bring, copy this guy, and then bring the amplitude to be right here. So I'm gonna paste the relevant references, and now I'm able to scale through that UI, which is right here. So that's the reason why I would prefer organizing something that is right there, right? Since I may have like a huge graph, but I'm gonna be able to hold this guy and come back however I want, having those attributes being visible. So then I want to the scale, so I'm gonna bring the element size here. Perfect. And what else do I need? Maybe put Worley. I prefer Worley. Okay. Yeah, for now I think that's fine. I don't think we need much more. And this noise scale and noise amplitude, if you actually wanted to edit the clamping or even the interface itself, let's just say I want the range to be up to 100 and this to 100. And then if you apply, you're gonna have a much better view of it. But the noise amplitude is unnecessary to be that long. I'm gonna put like 20. It's nice because you pretty much, I love that part of Houdini is how I'm able to customize however I want the nodes or even the UI itself, because it just eases your job later on. I know sometimes it actually takes time and effort, but oh man, I actually get addicted by even like doing that kind of stuff. Anyway, so now I will make sure that I continue with the path road. So you can see now that like a lot of those lines are actually crossing each other, and that's not cool, right? Because we don't necessarily want this sort of a route or what's happening. There's plenty of ways to fix that, and I'm gonna show the easiest and more messy one, which you can use a triangulate 2D node. I'm gonna actually save this, guys. 1 second. There. 1 second, guys. I have to save it. Right, perfect. Because sometimes whenever I use the triangulate node, it crashes. So constantly save your file. Houdini is procedural. It's not their fault. It's math is incredibly difficult. All right. So now that I have this, you can see that the triangulate 2D, what it does is it manages to bring points in space from the y-axis or whatever fitting plane you're using. So I'm going to use the select projection plane. If we change the direction, you'll see that will fit into whatever it's there. But of course, I don't want that. And I want to also make sure that I have restore original positions. And I want to create edges, or even if you put an asterisk character right there, it's gonna hold all the edges from whatever you had in that row. Okay, just letting you guys know. Or you can do the silhouette apparently. So let's see the silhouette. Yeah, so basically it's only going to get the exterior edges of your shape. And if you don't want the middle parts to be, this is the reason why sometimes I was just using the columns. I'm able to get just those lines. And if I close that curve by using an end node, for example, I believe this is gonna work. Let's see. No. Yeah, I hate whenever that happens. But basically, yeah, it will be more complicated to show that right now. But like the idea is to fit the points over here. And I don't remember necessarily how to do it right now. I can show you later. So I'm gonna use the easier route. So I'm gonna try using rows, for example, and then triangulate. Okay, so it's all heading there, and the silhouette is not. It's there, but now if I flood it from the silhouette, it's not gonna work. So it has to be the edges or the polygons. Since I'm using the rows, I'm gonna come back to quadrilateral. So there's plenty of ways you can move forward with this, but the triangulate itself will do that job for us. And as soon as you have that shape, I'm gonna put a divide node right here. And this divide node, using the remove shared edges, you can see that the shape is formed right there. And you might ask, like, okay, now I don't have the triangles, Hugo. What's going on? Games are made of triangles. Well, then put another divide. Divide node is pretty much a triangulation based kind of thing. I know it gets messy right here, but as soon as you avoid small edges, it's gonna create the triangles again. So you have a clean shape and form with the triangles being corrected. So now that I have this, I'm gonna save the file and I'm gonna play around with the noise. So this is the reason why I love having these attributes surrounding me and right there, which they are locked. So I can go here and play around with the shapes and values and the noise scale or whatever's going on. Cool. All right, so this is one route of how we can deal with it. And I'm gonna bring that to the side and get out of here, attributes. I'm gonna do a dot away, which is, so I have the curves right there, and I can do a blur, an attribute blur, bring over here to the curve itself, okay? No, not the high fill, Hugo. All right, attribute blur. And then on this guy, since I have the normals being that route, right? I want to pretty much make sure that I don't have the pinpoint borders, and the normal itself is going to be smoothed out. I know you're not seeing necessarily what the normal is not necessarily, it's the tangent, right? It's the binormal, sorry. I mean, or the tangent. And right now, if I do the blurring, the normals are going to smooth it out, and you're going to be able to have a little bit better transformations right there, okay? And the third route, which I prefer using most of the time, is show here. Since I have this noise and I have all these curves, I'm gonna just temporarily disable this, and I have the skin happening. The triangulate 2D after the divide of whatever we're doing, I don't want the triangles for now. So as soon as I have those lines, instead of actually using the skin over here for I'm gonna duplicate that. I'm gonna use as columns, right? And then I actually do the job of, one second, I have to. Oh, I'm getting the coronavirus. No, kidding. I'm a little bit sick. So what happens here is I'm gonna be able to do another skin on this guy. And we close that line, right, because of the rows. Because I have that, this gentleman right here, that's what I was actually trying to remember. Because I have that, I'm able to do another attribute noise. And this attribute noise right here is gonna give me the potential of actually creating any sort of noise of difference that are in between each line. So let's just say I didn't want this noise to be that much. Like, let's just say I wanted to have the remapping of the noise and bring this to be 1 and 1.1, for example. Actually 0.25 perhaps. And then 0.2. Because I didn't want the macro to be that variable, right? And let's just go back to the curve and see what's going on here. Yeah, and then I can use actually this attribute blur. If I go back there, it's going to be a little bit less, and there's a good reason for it. And you can actually create a, instead of actually being a noise here, you can actually create a ramp node. So you can see now the noise scale or whatever I'm creating here. If we do a little bit more broad, let me do a, yeah, I just deleted the, let me do this. And then you can see that I'm actually putting that noise amplitude right here. But then I want the minimum, right? So I'm going to bring this to be minus 0.2, for example. And then this to be plus 0.2, for example. And then I know that the variation is going to be a little bit more broad. And I also can create another pretty much spare parameter, which gives me those values as the variation of how broad it goes. So I'm going to go do this because I think that a lot of people don't understand the possibilities of how much you can actually put on it. So I'm going to put a add spare input. Actually, not add spare input. Sorry. I want to edit this interface. And I'm going to create a float. I'm going to make sure that it's right close to the maximum minimum. And let's call it out, I don't know, spread. So we're going to put like spread. Bad name, I know, perhaps it's not a good name, but we'll find out. So now this spread right here, let's put it as default as 25. Let's go back to the interface again. Where's the spread? And I'm going to make sure that I have the default to be 25. And I do not want I want to lock down in between 0 and 2. You can, but I wouldn't. I'll leave it that way. Just leave it open if people are want to play around with those values. And I'm going to copy this guy and bring that value into whatever we had here. And here. So you can see that I'm putting -2, and I'm sure if you guys are being able to see, so I'm going to bring this guy up right here. So you can see the text says I'm putting this to be minus and the maximum to have plus on the side. Okay, I don't know why this is not showing entirely. Yeah, there you go. And this is good because now I am able to create another float on this gentleman and say spread. Actually, I'm going to call it an n spread because there's a radius variable that way, and just the label can be the same name. It's completely fine. God, Hugo, you don't know how to type. All right, and then this guy, I'm able to copy this parameter and send this to the spread noise. Okay, and now I have the possibility of playing around with anything related to that. And we have all those attributes going there. Again, I'm experimenting things. Please ask questions if you have need to understand any sort of ways or you want to do something different. All right, so then this noise that I have here, since I had those curves and I'm actually able to blur this guy iterations, right? And actually, it will be nice to actually have this attribute right here. So let's do that. Perfect. I'm gonna copy this brand, but actually the curve, the blur itself, I think it's integers. Yeah, it's integers, but I think it should work. Let's see. But it will be better to actually call it integer. So I'm gonna make sure that this is an integer. And maximum, I will put like 500 sometimes. That works better. All right. And you have the stepping size over here if you wanted to, but still. So now I'm able to smooth that out. And because of the normals are, you know, that route of whatever I showed before, put it the node here. I am smoothing those normals, but I don't necessarily want to smooth entirely in like the curvature or even the path of what's happening. So I'm gonna make sure I have a curvature node and save file because measure node for some reason it crashes on me a lot. And now I'm gonna be able to use this node. I'm gonna put a CD over here for now so you guys can see what's going on. And bring this to be points. and curvature. So now you see, I was actually doing this 3 days ago, showing without microphone. And I'm gonna call this curvature, to be honest, just so I know that this is right here. And I want to make sure that I blur only whatever it's harsh, right, and not necessarily everywhere. Since I have this availability right here, and I'm gonna bake this down to be 0, 1, 1, because you want to clamp those values. I'm gonna call curvature. And on the blur side of things, I'm gonna put on the weight attribute the same variable. What you can do, which is I find it awesome, I'm able to copy the parameter right here and bring it right there, because honestly, let's just say I wanted to actually use colors, right, or anything that I wanted to see here, it's still the attribute blur is gonna use that attribute name, which is pretty damn awesome. And I think it is using. No, it's not. And I'm done. Wait a second. Oh no, I won't be able to use that route because I know what's going on. Basically, what it does is whenever you're using a string, it's a little bit different. So don't know if I don't remember necessarily how to do it, but I remember doing it in the past. I would just type curvature, whatever. Right, and then now I know that I have a stepping size. So I have the attribute curvature. Why is it not working though? Let me see. Uh-oh, error. Let me see. Oh. Because I'm clamping the values. It's not updating, I guess. Yeah, it's not updating. No, it is. Ugh. Forgive me, gentlemen. 1 second. Yeah, it's blurring, but let's see if I can take this off. God knows why this blur node is not working right now. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm lost. It's funny. I'm basically blurring the normals, not the shape itself. Forgive me for my dumbness right here. We want to make sure that we have another node which is for positioning, not for the normals. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna bring this blur iteration, whatever's happening. I'm gonna kill the. We can actually use the same attribute for the blur curve, but well, let's try. Let's experiment. So I'm gonna put the position right there, and I want to make sure that I don't have the points that are 0, 1 on the curve to be blurred, because I want to know that they're going to be sticking around. And I want to do the curvature right here. There you go. Now it worked. So you can see now that I'm also blurring the normals, but I have the shape actually being a little bit better on the curvature side of things. Since I am able to do that, since I have the width over here, okay, I'm able to play around with that value, which is not going right now. Oh yeah, I have to clamp. So you can see now that if I bring this to be 1 and mean, right, it basically gives sort of like a add sub or overlay into the colors, and it manages to clamp it better. So now if I blur, you can see that it really gets just those really bad points to smooth it out. So you can play around with that and bring those values to whatever you want on the curvature itself. Let me play with 6 perhaps. Yeah, 6 is good. And you can also invert the values of the clamping. So if I go to the blur right now and bring the blur, you'll see that let's just say I create this noise and bring this noise to be super high. Let me see what's going on. Yeah, basically. Okay, so that's another one. These guys, I'm also able to create a node that is for just a normal variation of it, right? Let's do that later. But basically, yeah, I'm pretty much like bringing my brain to a fuse right here, because I'm trying to find what I actually want to do. So since I'm doing this, I'm bringing the normals to be blurred. Let's do the copy points because it's easier to see. Okay, so since the P scale is there, Let me noise amplitude to be a little bit less. Scale, spread. Let me put a less points to the curve. Perhaps 2 here, and then just delete that guy. Perfect. And then less amplitude. And the scale to be like maybe 200. And the spreadness a little bit less. Let's see this as being by shape so we can find out what really is going on. I'm gonna put the interface to be the top view, because it usually helps us to see better. All right. And I want, okay, the blur. Okay, so now that we are blurring that guy here and here, this is actually bringing the position. So the curvature, let's do mean. My God, I'm getting lost here. 1 sec. Lack of sleep, that's what happens. I blurred the normals. Oh, yeah, of course, that's not gonna work if I don't put the attribute right there. All right, so I'm gonna put this value at 5, for example. And then the curvature, I want to see what can we do here. And I also want to use the attribute on this gentleman. And let's see what we get. Okay, much better. So now if I put the value right there, you will see how smooth it's gonna be, but still it's gonna leave some details here and there, right? So it's not necessarily like you're bringing the spread, right? You're trying to make sure that the spreadness is actually doing its job, but at the same time, it doesn't give you that sort of route of whatever's happening on those surroundings. So that is what I usually try to do. And then later on, if I have this skin right here, so I'm gonna actually go there again so you guys can understand a little bit better. So the noise itself is causing the P scale, which is the scale of the lines. Actually, it's gonna help me too. And the curvature right here is bringing the curvature attribute into both blurs. So the blur of this first normal, and this blur attribute is causing this guy, and the blur of the position of the curve itself. So you can see how actually it's managing to do so. Since we are bringing that curvature right here, if I try to do this, let's see, okay. Let me try to, I'm gonna try volume preserving, which gives a little bit better approach to the smoothing. So if I see, like, it kind of preserves a little bit more of the shape. That's cool, perfect. Is this good, guys? Please let me know if this is worth it, or because there's a lot of things that I want to keep showing. All right, so then this attribute noise, what I want to do here, and because it's actually bringing the colors onto the form of the shape, I do not want actually the colors themselves. I actually want the normals again. And I want to get this to be the center noise. So now you will see that if I go back to the perspective, every single normal of the curve is very randomized. And that's cool. We want that. And we want to make sure that we clamp those values. So pretty much the idea is every single value has their minimum max to be -1 to 1, which honestly, a normal has to have its negative. And now we are able to, let's do this. Actually, I don't want the y-axis to have any sort of variation. Now I'm able to create the scale over here. And let's do a peak. So basically what I'm trying to do here is I want the macro functionality of the curve to have its own effects, but I also want the micro, okay? And I'm gonna do another resample on this guy so we are able to have more points. Let's see how many points we have here. Perfect. And let's do 1.25 or a little bit less, 0.5. Okay, so now we have more points of whatever's happening on the curve, as you guys can see. Actually, no, I'm gonna do 0.2, and I'll show you guys why later. And now if I bring this resample, I'm gonna have the peak, and you can see how much more detail I'm having surrounding this. So This attribute noise has this scale and element size or whatever we want to do. You also want to have a variable for that. So see, like I have the macro one, right? So we actually can start calling those guys a little bit better. So I'm going to do that real quick. I'm going to put this as mn macro. So yeah, I'm trying to like make sure that I have plenty of control, and we can continue later on on our day. This tutorial, I'm gonna go a little bit more, maybe like another 20 to 30 minutes, and so please ask questions if you need. And this guy, I have the macro noise right here. Let's do, make sure that this is noise amplitude macro as well. I'm gonna put this in and a macro spread. And then the blur curve. How's everyone doing, by the way? Like, how's your country or whatever wherever you're talking to or from? How's everything? Like, do you guys are safe, like secure? How do you feel about getting out of the house? I want to hear everyone's thoughts. All right, set it up. Macro spread, and then the blur. So all those are macros. This noise scale, I don't know why I didn't put the name. Let's put that. And I'm gonna do something really interesting here, which I love. I am going to duplicate this guy, all of those. I'm gonna copy and paste. What happens here, I'm able to get a little kind of a separator. And if I bring the separator right here, or a folder, you can actually create a folder if you wanted to. And I'm able to label things out too, which I love about Houdini. And that shows in Unity or anywhere you want, even in Maya. So I'm gonna put this as micro, and this guy as micro. And I want to make sure that I have just micro word. I'm actually not gonna even put that out there. I'm just gonna bring this to be noise. Noise is noise, so the micro is not necessarily the micro doesn't have a name. And again, you can always just name it however you want. Let me see the spread. Yep. Yeah. But just try to make sure that every single variable right here, guys, name is different. You do not want to do that mistake. All right. Perfect. So as soon as I apply, you can see that we have both sections, right? And I'm able to bring all those variables, so like item 1 noise amplitude to be where the micro noise is, because of the fact that I'm creating a noise over here that is a peak. Okay, there's two ways we can do this. Basically, you can bring the values right here to be the remap noise, or you can normalize it after. I can show you that way. So basically, let's just say I'm gonna put, let's do another attribute noise. And I want to make sure that is, let me see, 3D. And you have the amplitude being that route, right? So the intensity of whatever you're doing there. So I'm going to paste that value on every single one of those guys. All right, and the values are 0 because we don't have any amplitude. Okay, and you can see that the values of the amplitude of each of those colors are happening in that route. Now, we know that we want to bring some sort of displacement into this curve. I'm going to go a little bit more deep on this. So this is one of the approaches, guys, just by the way, which I find easier, but is not as controllable. I rather do it another way. So I'm going to show a little bit more the harsher, the harder way. This guy, I'm going to have this color and be this attribute right here. And I don't see the colors, I don't know why. So let me just put center noise, there you go. So this center noise, I can do that as being just 1D, would just fine. So I don't necessarily have to have those being the 3D, but I still want to have the option. Okay, and I'll explain why soon. So since we have this, I'm gonna put the background to be light. Perfect. And since I have those colors and the information is there, you can use the P scale or any attribute you want. So let's just say I want to make any sort of attribute here. I don't know, noise scale, I guess. And since I have this attribute, I'm gonna go to VOPs. So this is gonna be a little bit more complicated for some people. VOP is basically it's a vertex operation. Actually, it's called vex operation. You're pretty much coding the same way as in graph, but into another side of Houdini, which is not necessarily a geometry base. It's literally the component itself, or vertices, or primitives, or anything, faces, or any component that you're using to. So now, what I want to make sure that I have here is something called bind, right? And the bind is basically brings out a variable. So you're pretty much calling out a variable right here. So I'm going to bring that noise scale that we had here before. And as soon as I do that and bring it to color, we are supposed to see the color of whatever we had in the noise scale, which is nice. So it means that it's calling out, it's bringing that information. And now what I want is create something called displace along normal, right? Since we know that we had normals on those guys, actually we don't. I mean, again, we still don't. So I'm going to bring normals right here. I'm going to put 2 points. And usually, yeah, I don't know why it does that, but basically it doesn't, as a curve, it doesn't necessarily brings normals. And the resample might actually be the problem because I didn't put as output. So let me see if that works now. And you have to put the points. Don't do it as vertices. Yeah, it's not showing. And I kind of, it's complicated to explain. Basically, you don't have any direction of the binormal or the tangency to actually find yourself to. So I'm gonna have to use a frame. It makes sense that they're actually doing that. I like that they're doing that. It's because a lot of softwares they did just manage by themselves, like Maya or Max or whatever other softwares. I'm just gonna do whatever I want. No, Houdini actually follows better the aspects of what the math is behind whatever is out there. So you have to understand what it's doing in order to make it work. Anyway, now that I have this and I'm bringing the up and the tangency, I'm able to go and see them that I have normals. I'm gonna scale those normals down. But the normals are not necessarily going the correct direction, as you can see. So what we can do here, and I hope this works, let's see. I'm going to use a cross product for this gentleman and bring that normal to be here. So now you can see that I'm causing the normal to actually follow through on not at the tangents, so pretty much rotated, as you can see on the Y, we're using the cross product in order to actually go 90 degrees outside. Okay, cool. Because of the fact that I have the directions of each, over here, we can go even further and try to minimize the aspects of, for example, oh, I want this curve to actually be outside on the other area. I'm not going to go that route because we're going to stay here for hours. So I'm going to use this cross product and bring this onto the normals. I want to make sure that I have a position right here, but I want to get the scale of the noise to be on the scale. And I want to promote, I'm going to bring the UI here. You can see that the displacement itself, I want to make sure that I have the displacement amount right here. And bring this position to whatever it was there. So now, we don't see anything because the fact that we're causing, I'm going to actually delete the colors right here. Go back there. Why? I just deleted the color. What are you talking about? Oh, no, I deleted the wrong one. Boom. Okay, so I still am able to have the tangency, as you can see, but I'm using the cross product for the displacement, which is cool. That is nice, but we may actually need the cross product right here. Okay, so I'm just showing you guys that. Perfect. And now I'll go back there. And we can see that now that displacement of the curve is going to be causing us to have a little bit more detail surrounding the curve. So as you can see, we're really like going deep onto plenty of little details right here, which is nice. I like the aspect of having the control of however I want. So now, since we have this, we can go here and see the difference in between the two. So you see that the peak, right? I don't have much control. I mean, I have the noise right there, but I don't necessarily know what the normals are happening. And plus, I'm able to, let's just say I do this. I'm going to duplicate this point VOP and bring that again. But I want to make sure that I have this VOP and I only have the cross product happening. So I'm not going to bring any sort of positioning right there. And now it went to the tangency. 1 second. What are the normals here? Cool. Okay, I'm bringing out to be normal. Then why you're doing this to me? Oh, because I have the cross product here. My bad. Boom. And I don't want that. Perfect. So now I'm able to have the cross product before and I'm binding after, right? And we don't necessarily need to have this noise scale right here, to be honest with you. You are able to actually create, I'm going to actually blur this guy 1 second. So you can see that the normals are this way. I'm going to bring a blur, attribute blur, because I want to make sure that the noise doesn't necessarily, it doesn't, no, the normals, you go. The curve itself, whenever we bring the noise out there, you're going to see the difference right here. As soon as I create this displacement, it's following a little bit more the tangency and it's not like clamping in some sections, as you can see. So it's kind of like a little more equal noise and you can play around with those values. I just wanted to show how this is available for us. And I like to use volume preserving. And let's see the edge length. So see how many options you have. Like it's fantastic how you just pretty much go nuts around this. Anyway, so I'm gonna show how to actually create a noise inside of this VOP right here. Instead of actually using the noise scale, you can put something called just like type noise. There's plenty of noises. You can mix and match all of those guys. And honestly, the attribute noise actually consists on, I think I show you guys here. If I enter this node, is actually a VOP itself, okay? That brings that route to you. So it's whatever is inside there. So, but I want to make sure that I create something a little bit different. So let me show. I'm gonna just take this off for now. And since I did that blur, I'm gonna do the noise here. So I'm gonna do perhaps I'm gonna use the curl, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna use the curl. And I want to be 2D, so actually I'm gonna bring that out. Perfect. And I'm gonna bring that position right here, and then bring that noise to be the color for now. So you can see the colors on the whole thing. And this guy, it's called 2D because basically there's only two directions of the noise. The 3D one brings a little bit more, brings the third dimensional direction of that noise. I find 2D a little bit cheaper to use because every time I use the pro noise that is 3D, if I use like a lot of frequency, it causes me issues. So I just a thought. And then you can see that I have the frequency of the noise right there. And everything that you have in the attribute noise, you're able to control however you want. The good thing about actually having control over here is, put gamma 2.2, okay it is. Actually, you know, I'm gonna test the curl noise 3D because I find that it may help later on. So I'm gonna put the position and I'm gonna bring that noise right there. Okay, so this noise, let's just say we have this to be the normals, right? And we can convert that noise to be the normals itself. So if I actually bring this guy right here, you will see that it's bringing another different sort of a way of playing around with values, and which is nice. So because we can go here, and I'm not gonna let's just say ship this one, but I want to make sure that you guys understand how cool that is, because now that I have this displacement right here, I am able to have the normals themselves, right, which I have here, being the noise that is inside of the VOP. So it's incredible how many things you can do with it. But the problem is we don't want, so let me just delete the car so you guys can see. We don't want the y-axis to be happening. So the same way as you can use something outside there that sometimes is a little bit easier to see, on the VOP side of things, you can do so much more and control anything that you want. So I'm going to put a vector to float right here, and I'm bring that noise right there, and I'm going to bring that float to vector again, and just use the X and Z axis and bring that to the normal, and you can see now that we flatten. So instead of actually, we were using this guy and flattening out everything, you're able to do that on the VOP side of things, which I find it awesome. All right, so since we created those normals and that displacement happens, you like see how many steps I took advantage to actually just bring one attribute. But if you're lazy enough and just want to play around with the peak, you can. I just find it that I love to have the control of whatever is happening with my work. Anyway, I'm going to bring this P again here, and you can leave those nodes right there. Let's come back to what we had before and bring the displacement on this guy. What is causing this? 1 second. Yeah. Yup. Okay, let's see, why is this not going? Oh, yeah, of course. Perfect. So pretty much that's what I would do for the noise, and I don't want to have that much displacement, so I'm gonna put like 0.1. Just one tiny little details. And we want to get that resample to be a little bit higher. There you go. And that scale of the frequency of the noise right here to be as well as high. So actually, let's do this. Since you have we were doing the noise detail right here, I'm gonna put those guys in because I forgot. Paste. So this spread over here, we don't necessarily need that variable, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna delete that variable. Apply. And that curve, which is blur curve, I want to point it out to be right here, which is the normals of whatever we're doing. Bam. So now we know and we have the noise happening right there. And we want this value to be like very small because honestly it's supposed to be micro. So I'm going to bring this scale to be in between 0 to 10. There you go. The cool thing as well, you are able to keep bringing different noises surrounding this and add one to each other. So if you can see, it's adding or multiplying. Okay, so just letting you guys know. And you're able to clamp values later on if you want to. So you have some sort of variation of whatever's happening right there. And I want to make sure that this element size, for example, is 2 times larger. And the amplitude is a little bit more, so I also want to make sure that it's 2 times as well. So as soon as you have plenty of those noises, you're able to create variations surrounding everything. And instead of only using the simplex one, so for example, this one I'm going to use simplex, right? I'm going to call simplex. But this one I'm going to use whirly. Those are names of the noises that you can do. And then I will go and play whirly. And bring the scale to be like perhaps 4. And yeah, intensity to be 4 as well. Bam. All right. Now I can see how the micro itself has so much more variation, right? And we go back to whatever we had before right here on or attributes. Actually, I can play around with that. And just keep you're able to just do so many different variations and have the control of however you want. This noise right here, I think that let's see, how am I controlling this? Yeah, this is causing it to be too much. So you can see that the noise scale right here has the values of being only positive. So because of the fact that the normals are doing the job, right? and we only have the normals being positive. What we can try to do here is bring this scale right here to actually be 3D. So we can do that back again. All right, and then remap that noise and bring those values of whatever the amplitude we're creating. Boom. Okay. Bring the negative values as well. So it's really up to you if you want to do in one direction or you want to do in the 3D directions. And I want to do the same thing here, so I'm going to delete that. Duplicate. And bring this to be whirly. And there you go. So pretty much that's the idea surrounding this, because now if I have, oops, what's causing the problem here? Yeah, blur. What's going on? I don't know what I did wrong. Give me 1 second, guys. Additive, yeah, correct. Simplex. Yeah, it is doing the noise kill. I don't know why necessarily it's causing the issue. Oh yeah, the blur was too much, I guess. I don't know. No, I don't think it is. Let me recreate this real quick. I think that, oh yeah, I know why. Okay, so basically what happens is, I'm gonna undo. This noise scale is being called as the float, and we do need this to be a vector, okay? Because you're pretty much bringing that to be the normal itself, and not necessarily what we wanted before. So I'm gonna take off that from the scale and bring this to be the normal. And then the amount, let me see. Yeah, I think that will work. There you go. So that's pretty much what was causing it. So now you have the noise being 3D, right? But we want the vectors, remember? The vector, I'm just gonna copy that guy out. Boom. I copied the wrong one. I'm just gonna do it here. And this is the last step that I'm going to show for today, guys. I'm starting to get really tired. So thank you for coming, by the way. I appreciate if you leave questions or they say anything that you feel like, or if you want to watch tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to bring this to normal. Perfect. And now I want to make sure that I have the displacement parameter going out. And bam. So you can see now it's pushing in both sides, both ways. It's not necessarily only doing one side of the area. Again, of course, it's very noisy and everything because the noise scale is super large and the noise amplitude is super large. But as you guys can see, Kao actually manages to do a little bit better job around it. And the blurring iterations of whatever we're having here, because I'm adding the blur there, this may have to change. Let me see. Because I'm blurring the normals, but then I'm not necessarily using the normals right here because I'm actually binding something else. So what we can do here is, because I named noise scale, and instead of actually noise scale, I can just simply name normal. I don't necessarily need to be there. And then I just bring that normal right to be this guy. Okay, and then because I'm blurring too much, let's see. Yeah, but it's not going positive. Yeah, I'm gonna have to play around with a little bit more. But basically, the idea is we can do a attribution, like a additive or like blend normals of whatever you had here on the noise scale. I'm gonna have to stop, but basically, this is how I would approach a creation of kind of like a road, or and we're gonna go move forward. We're gonna keep creating. I know I kind of got lost in too many details here, but it's important for us to understand how the step of actually creating the surface is really easy, right? You can go here and just put the skin and, you know, play around with the triangulation or anything you want. The problem is actually the creation process of how are we going to create that curve and how you're going to bring the surface to be happening. I'm just going to show a little bit more of how I would just do. And then I want this guy to be, I'm going to use the triangulate to do because I think it's easier. There you go. See, it's nice that I have already those nodes happening right there. Boom. Okay, perfect. And then I want to make sure I have a normal. So now I'll go back and show that I had the curve, which is right here. And I'm able to draw the curve while everything is changing. But the noise 2D needs to, the triangulate 2D needs to do, supposed to be fine. I don't know what's causing it. Give me 1 second. Let's do polygon there. Perfect. There you go. Alright, so now we go back to the curve. And we have the parameters in space. So as you can see, I moved this point to be a little bit up and out. I'm still able to have some ability to go up and down, but there's other steps that I have to change because the triangulate 2D is actually what's causing the problem of flipping and going around crazy. So if I want just flat for now, you can have it. I would just leave it flat. If you're using triangulate 2D, only do flat stuff. You are not going to be able to do anything in 3D unless you transform after. Let me put this to be grid snapping. There you go. It's gonna crash, I think. It's a lot of information, but basically we're supposed to actually optimize the amount of points and everything. I think it's gonna crash. Let's see. Yeah, didn't crash, thankfully. So basically, yeah, so you have a lot of information going surrounding. There is a cost to every single node, and you have to find out what are the costs. There's tools for that. You're able to see it. I'm not going to go that route right now, but the more and more you play around with Houdini, you're going to find out that there's nodes that are like, oh my god, it's so expensive. And you are able to actually see it, how much it costs by just pressing the middle mouse button on top. And you can see that, for example, blur is 0.01 seconds. The VOP is 0.59. And there's a performance monitor, I believe. Let me just see. Yeah, so we have this guy right here, which I find it kind of interesting. As soon as I calculate something, it's going to show me what actually the nodes are doing. So I'm going to put, I think you're able to see the profile. Yeah, it tells you, it should supposed to say which nodes are causing it. I don't remember necessarily where I find that. Because it's seeing the performance of, I don't remember exactly where it is, but the idea is here is that you are able to actually find out which node is actually being very costly or not, and that gives you a sense of what you actually have to do. So let's just say I didn't create the triangulate 2D right here, and I only had the skin, and I find actually the skin might be the issue right here because it's not finding the route path, the right path for whatever's happening. Yeah, right there. So it's turning red because now the performance monitor is saying that this node is expensive because I had it on. Okay, just letting you know. All right, skin. I don't think it's a good idea using skin right here. I think there's something called poly patch, I believe. Yeah, let's see if this works better. The problem is that it's not gonna find out I'm gonna not wrap it. Let's see if this works. And bring it only to 1 to 1. And it's gonna try to get that last point into whatever it was in here. So there's other ways that we can manage to actually not do that, which is you're gonna have to or close the curve or pretty much get the 1 point from another, because it's the sorting of the curve is not correct in between every single point of them. So if I see the points right here, I'm gonna get the numbers, and it might not be correct. Like, see, like over here, sometimes it's like a little random, I guess, I don't know. And the end of the other one, actually it's not random right now, but let me see. Yeah, it's correct, but I don't know, he will not know if the 0 needs to go to 252 or the other one around. So there's other routes to do that. I don't necessarily remember how would I do it. What you can do is, let's do this here. I'm going to use triangulate to the beforehands. So if I have this guy here, I do use this resample. Yeah. I'm going to copy the points, triangulate to the right here. Actually, I'm going to use this skin. And I want, select projection plane, polygons, asterisk, remove flood. Okay, so now I have this. I'm going to use the same divides that I had here in the before. So now you can see, actually I don't need this one, that I have the ends, right? It's great. And I'm able to pretty much bring this into the resample itself. And now all the route of whatever we had before, we have the shape right there. So it's cheaper to do that route than the other way. All right. And there's one last node that I'm going to show, which is pretty much the refine. Yeah, I said goodbye, but I'm continuing. See, I'm like, I actually enjoy doing this. Right? I like showing too, guys. I think that everyone deserves to learn something. 0, 1, and this refine node is pretty much gonna kind of optimize the curve itself, so you can just like play around with the values that you want right there. And before the refine, I usually like to put a little bit of blur just so avoids any other issues. So I'm gonna put perhaps 1, 2, and not doing borders. Perfect. Actually, a little bit. There you go. And then put on the refine. So you can see that the points, I'm not sure if you guys are able to see like how the points, I mean, you're pretty much optimizing the mesh before it actually goes out to the surface. So now, I believe this is much cheaper. So now if I go back to the curve, let me see what's going on. I don't know why it's actually, there you go. It's a little bit better. So there's one resample that is really being annoyed by it, and that is this guy, because there's so many points and he's not being able to do the right job. So I'm gonna try to minimize this guy. Let's see. There's so many points that is trying to bring right here. That's being the issue. Let's see if this works better. So yeah, that's the debugging part of whatever tool you create in Houdini. You have to keep testing and find out, see like how many, what is going on. And I think this time's gonna crash. No, it's still the resample tree. For some reason, this guy is causing issues. And I cannot find it right now, but I'll find it later. So that's pretty much it, guys, like for today. Thank you so much for coming by, and have a wonderful night. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a be safe out there, and don't get COVID. Bye bye.